There are so many different types of flat irons out on the market, so how do you know which one to choose for your hair so you're not burning your hair off and you're not doing more damage than you care to do? I'm gonna answer that for you in this video, so stay tuned. Ceramic, titanium, tourmaline, what do I pick and why does the material matter? So let's talk about it. Now occasionally you'll still find flat irons that don't have ceramic, tourmaline, or titanium on them. Some of them are still stainless steel. Those are the old school flat irons like we used to have back in my day, infinity years ago, when we used to walk barefooted uphill both ways in the snow to school. However common, now you guys have better things. We have to understand that those stainless steel irons that we used to use were a lot less reliable, and it caused us to do a lot more damage to the hair in terms of burning, causing evaporation and dryness, all sorts of things. So they started making ceramic plated irons like this here, where you've got stainless steel and it's coated in ceramic. Now the benefit of having the ceramic plate is that ceramic more evenly distributes heat, so you don't have hot spots on your plate like you would with stainless steel. The nice thing about that is it means if you set it to 350, it's 350 all the way across. It's not 350 here, 375 here, and 310 here. It's 350 all the way across if you set it to 350. Whereas with stainless steel, sometimes you would have a hot spot in your plate and it did not conduct heat evenly throughout there. Now, a lot of times you have to look at, in terms of your irons, the quality of that ceramic. So if it's a ceramic iron and it has a ceramic heating coil as well, it's going to not only produce even consistent heat across the plate, it's going to also carry even heat as you're working on it. So the whole plate is not fluctuating up and down in temperature due to the heating coil coming on and off. The ceramic heating coil that is in some of these irons, like the cheat irons, things like that, will keep a consistent temperature as you keep it on, rather than it fluctuating and going hot and cold to try to keep you in that same range. Also have titanium. Now, if you've ever used a titanium flat iron, you know that it will get you incredibly straight and it leaves that hair impeccably shiny. But the heat from a titanium iron and the heat from a ceramic iron is two different levels of heat. Usually you'll see professionals use things like this here because you have to know how to work with heat to not damage the hair often when you're using a titanium iron. Even if I'm using the same temperature, it's much easier for me to burn the hair with titanium than it is for me to burn the hair with something like a ceramic. Now, both of these have an ionic charge that can be great for infusing things into the hair as we press the hair out, but the heat factor on a titanium iron is totally different, and especially for fine fabrics of hair. And I don't mean fine as in straight, that's not a thing. I mean fine as in the diameter of those strands is incredibly thin. So each individual strand itself is a thin strand. That's fine hair. Fine versus coarse, when we're looking at that, something like a titanium iron really is not recommended for fine hair. This should be used on more coarse fabrics of hair. Again, when I say coarse, I don't mean curls, kinks, or coils. I mean fine, being each tree in your forest is skinny, versus coarse being you have thicker trees in your forest, trees that are thick like me. We want to keep in mind, as we're looking at these different types of irons, what type of hair do you have and what manner or measure of experience do you have? I really don't recommend these for at-home use for most people, because while yes, it will get your hair straighter and it doesn't take as much time to do it, you can do so much more damage with a titanium iron. What if you're not quite noticing that you get your hair as straight as you want with a ceramic iron, but you're not really being recommended to use a titanium iron, despite the fact that yes, it'll get your hair straight, but now you got broken off edges because you've been flat ironing with something that's a temperature of hell. Usually in that instance, I would recommend using a tourmaline iron. Usually they're still infused with ceramic, so you still get the balance of the plating. It's a little bit stronger of a coating, so it's not quite at the lower level of the ceramic, but it still gives you the benefits of ceramic, and it also allows you to produce a little bit more heat without taking you all the way up to where titanium would. Now, I know titanium is shiny, it's pretty to look at, but I want your hair to be shiny and pretty to look at. So you gotta focus on what's more important to you. If you're a professional, sure, You can do a titanium iron all day long, so long as you're selecting the proper temperature for each client. Every client cannot get 450. Honestly, you really should not be using 450. It does not need to be that high, baby. You don't even bake cookies at that temperature. You don't bake casseroles at that temperature. But I'll tell you what you do bake at that temperature: your soul. Inhale. We want to look at factors like picking a nice median range. If you are looking for something that's going to get you a little straighter than a standard ceramic, going for Tourmaline and having that be your selection. If you're doing at-home use and you know a bit more of what you're doing and you're finding that your hair is not extremely fine, so you need something maybe a little stronger than ceramic. Ceramic can be great for fine to medium fabrics of hair, even some coarse fabrics of hair, depending on the temperature settings that you can get up to. Now, if you're noticing, you feel like, hey, these options aren't getting my hair straight, and this option is, there's a good chance that your subsections are way too large. So when you're flat ironing, you have to keep in mind the heat is only able to pass through those subsections well if those subsections are not too thick. So let me show you what size subsections you should be using. Okay, let's say this is you, fresh bed head and all. When you're looking at this, a lot of times when I see people that are trying to do their hair, they want to pick up these big sections and just get to flat iron. Just boop, try to pass that iron over it as many times as possible. They're taking this hair, they've got big old sections like this here, and then this is like the worst angle ever, but they're just passing over that same piece 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I've seen it get more excessive times trying to get that hair smooth. That's way too many times, and that's way too big a section. So the sad thing is, if you could get yourself trained into taking a section that's literally no bigger than ½ an inch. For my students, I make them go more like 1/4 of an inch, so half of this. If we're going with sections like this here, first we wanted to detangle our section before we start. So if we're going with a section like this here, then you would just go ahead and go through, place your iron on, and we're gonna do one slow, smooth pass from top to bottom. Slow and smooth, one time, not 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times. The fact that we took a thinner section allows that heat to penetrate through both sides really well, so you get a nice, even, consistent result. Working with it slower and smoother means that that hair is going to get smoother as you're pressing, and it's going to fight humidity a bit better later. It'll stay straighter longer. And on top of that, we're only passing the hair one time. So even though it feels like it's taking longer, you passed it once. We're not turning the iron up to some ungodly temperature so we can burn the hair straight, because what happens is if our sections are too big, we're getting more heat to the outside layers. We're now having to use a higher temperature of heat. And so we're burning up these outside portions, and the middle of it's never getting an even amount of heat. So I hope that helps out. If so, let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, take care, God bless, and stay glam. If you need recommendations on products, flat irons, all that type of stuff, check out in the description box down below or in the top pinned comment. And until next time, take care. Don't forget to subscribe.